You are listening to Andrea with From Mrs. to Ms. Today, we are being joined by the wonderful Sherri Leigh. Hi, Sherri. How are you?
Hi. Hi, I'm doing
Hi.
great. I'm excited for our conversation.
Yes, I'm so happy that you're here. Let me tell everybody a little bit about you. So, Sherri Leigh is a former litigator turned nationally recognized mindset and connection coach. She's a TEDx speaker and bestselling author based in Seattle, but heading somewhere else. As we just discussed, as the visionary behind the Flip the Box movement and the annual Flip the Box Day, which is March 6th, she empowers individuals and organizations to break free from limiting narratives and foster authentic connection. Her nonfiction books, including The 50/50 Friendship Flow, Make Your Mess Your Message, Ask Yourself This, and Table for 51, guides readers through real life reinvention and the power of relationships. In 2025, she traveled to all 50 states for her Table for 51 projects, turning shared meals into powerful rituals of belonging. Through retreats, virtual coaching, keynotes, and her podcast, Life Unscripted, Sherri equips people to live an imperfectly perfect life, grounded in truth, vulnerability, and purpose. Woo!
I know that was a mouthful.
But that is all you, girl. I mean, wow. How amazing. You have so many great things. I'm excited to talk about all of this. I love the titles of all your books. Those are fascinating. So we want to dive right in. Okay. So we're going to go back to the beginning.
Okay.
So before the books, before the speaking, before this incredible stuff you're doing now, what led you to this path? Was there a moment that made you stop and go, okay, something needs to change?
Well, I was a stay-at-home. As you mentioned, I'm an attorney by training, but I took time off and I stayed at home with my kids. My two kids are now in their 20s. And when I had, more time to actually devote to what I wanted to do for work, I actually kind of fell into writing. But life before that, I was a stay-at-home mom. And this whole career that you just described started at age 50 for me.
Oh my gosh, which I love that because that's for everybody to realize you can start over at any time. It doesn't matter how old you are, anytime you want. So go on. I love it. I love that.
Absolutely. And I'm living my dream now. I'm so happy with what I do.
Oh my gosh, Sherri, I love that because I'm very similar to you. I'm also 50 and kind of the same thing. I just started doing all of like my relationship coaching and diving into things that were more passionate for me than the mortgage business that I was in. So I totally get that. So I love your flip the box philosophy. Okay, so what I guess what'd you it's gonna sound weird, but what'd your box look like before you flipped it?
I know, whenever that's said, I'm kind of like, oh, okay. That's so interesting.
Talk to me about your box.
That could go so many ways. Okay, who's listening to this podcast? So the story behind this is actually, you mentioned my project where I traveled the U.S. to share a meal with a stranger, and it was a woman in every state. I chose to meet with women. I was doing this travel alone, and my backstory is I was adopted, but I was orphaned in Seoul, Korea, and found in a cardboard box as a baby with no identifying information. So I didn't have a name, a birth date, birthplace, nothing. So I actually don't know my true birth date.
Oh,
And
wow.
so all my life I've been searching for belonging. And what I realized as I was writing the book, Table for 51, is that when I traveled across the U.S. and met with these women and shared a meal, these would be organic conversations like we're having today. But there was one question I kept asking them, and it was, what feels like home to you? And that's when I realized, when I was writing the book, recounting these meetings, that I was searching for a place that felt like home. I was still searching for this place of belonging. And as I was traveling, I realized I symbolically took that box that I was found in as a baby and flipped it. And it became a table where I did find connection and belonging. So that's where the whole program and title of what I'm doing now in my speeches is called Flip the Box.
How cool is that? What an amazing story. And so how did you get it? It's like a national day, right? Like March 6th is Flip the Box Day. How did you even get that to happen?
Yeah, well, you can apply for a day. And the whole idea, March 6th is a day to it's a day to encourage you to go out and share a meal with somebody that you may have lost touch with, somebody new, even a family member. Just sit down and because we've really lost the art of connection, and I think we owe it to the
Agreed.
next generation to show them how to connect and simply share a meal with someone.
I love that. And I think you're so right. We've lost that connection because our phones, TV,
Mhm.
we're just busy, busy, busy. Everybody's on the go on a mission and they forget to take the time to really do that and connect with somebody. And that's what's going to ground you and give you that foundation, right? It's not
Yeah.
all this frivolous, materialistic stuff, right?
And, since the beginning of time, sharing food has always meant safety, survival, and belonging.
I love that. That's neat. So you went on this amazing journey, as you mentioned, with all 50 states, right? Like, wow, that's a lot. Okay, first of all, I had questions because I was watching this when you were on the Today Show, and I was listening to them talking about, the 50 states that you went to and everything. So did you have, like, what was the time frame of this that you did it in, and like, how did you plan that? Were you just like, okay, I'm going to go to one and then come back and kind of regrip and then I'll go to another? Or was it a continuous thing? How'd you find the people?
So
Tell
I
me that.
so I came up with the idea in 2022, and I
Okay.
decided, I have the luxury of having traveled internationally before, not in my own country that I was raised in the United States. So I thought,
Hmm.
oh, if I do this, what makes places interesting? It's the
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
So I came up with the idea. I thought, okay, how do I get 50 strangers and make sure that they show up and I don't get stood up in South Dakota? Uh, so I
Of all
got
places.
27. Yeah, so I had to find the women first before I planned my travel.
Okay.
My only criteria was that they communicate well with me. So it ended up being
Hmm.
women from the ages of 20s to 60s, different races, economic levels, education levels, political beliefs, religious beliefs.
Mm.
27 I got on my own, and it'd be people like you, for instance. You live in a different state
Yeah.
than me. We have never met in person, and I'd call you up and say, hey, I'm doing this project, would you be my California person to sit down with?
Yeah.
And my Indiana was my web designer that I had never met in person. And after that, I had a list of states left. I put it on social media, and people sent me their former college roommates, their nieces, their former coworkers, and I ended up with 13 states where I had no lead, no anchor, and I decided,
Yeah.
well, if they are women business owners, then at least if they
Mhm.
stand me up, I know where to go find them.
Go to their business.
And so I just kind of
Yeah.
started looking for women business owners and
Oh,
ended up with
nice.
a list. Probably from the time I started, it took me maybe 2.5 months to come up with a solid list. And a couple of those
Okay.
changed on me throughout, because this was a quite a ways ahead of me actually traveling. So some of those
Right.
names changed, but
Hmm.
that's how I planned and then I had a big US map circle when I made the connections, circled where they lived. Not everybody was very easy to get to, big towns, small towns. But nobody stood me up. I
Wow.
got through the whole thing.
Amazing. And so what was the time frame for the whole thing? Completion, like after
eight
you had your
months.
people already? Eight
It was eight
months.
months, but I tried, I was married at the time, and I would try to
Okay.
just do this on the weekend. So I was there during the week. So I would fly back to
Okay.
Seattle, which is not the easiest place to fly. You're on this corner and
Right.
you have to fly across all the US, but I'd fly back and forth a lot.
Oh my gosh, I love that story. So, was there one conversation or one moment or one person that just like really stuck with you in some way? Was there someone like that?
There's several, and when am able to give my keynote speeches, I pull out stories. But as a whole,
Yeah.
I get asked a lot, "What was your favorite place you were? What was your favorite person?" And the interesting
Yeah.
thing is it had to be everyone that was there, because if I take out
Yeah.
one, the whole
It
project
doesn't work.
changes. And what I noticed is when I was halfway through, it was almost as if I had one teacher and only the body and voice changed, because the conversation, and some of this may have been the energy I was bringing to the next conversation from the last, but the
Yeah.
conversation just seemed to flow where the woman would say something that reflected on a comment that the woman I had just met said the day before. or so
Wow.
there'd be the woman would tell a story, and the next day, for instance, a woman that I didn't know had been adopted told a story of how she found her birth dad by accident, because she had been playing volleyball on the same co-ed rec team with his sister, and
Oh my
her
gosh.
her
How
mom
random.
came to watch, and she recognized the sister because this had been like a high school pregnancy, and she hadn't lost touch with the birth dad, but she recognized the sister. And then I go to the next day to a totally different state,
Yeah.
totally different, woman, of course. And she tells me a story about how the aunt of her birth dad contacted her, and and she found her birth family that way. So it's just these
What?
stories just seem to, yeah, it was
This is
crazy.
a
It was crazy
puzzle
the way the
that it all
synergy in
fits
it.
and yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's such
And,
a great
and
answer
then
because
even,
yeah.
yeah, even these women. So I started to do Zoom calls after this. So these women would
Mhm.
would meet each other. And I
Yeah.
told them that when this project was done, I was going to do a survey and find out what religion people believed in, what political views they had, and I would share this.
Mhm.
Well, I
Mhm.
did that survey, but I decided not to share it because I didn't
Mm.
want to ruin the connection that everyone felt
Yes.
as we had
Yes.
these Zoom meetings. And but the synergy and just everyone, despite how diverse they appeared on the outside and how different their core lives were, was amazing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that was probably neat for you to kind of see behind the scenes, even though you didn't share it. And I think that was probably a wise choice because then you might have, you're going to have somebody who's Republican, someone's Democrat, and they're like, wait a second, we don't, and it'll change the
Yeah.
dynamic of that relationship. So I think that was really a wise choice to not share it.
Yeah,
What a
they
great
have to build
story.
up trust first before they can
Yes.
have those kind of
Those,
discussions. But yeah,
it's
it's
like
it's
dating.
beautiful.
Amazing. So you have written so beautifully about friendship. And in your experience, what's something that we tend to get wrong about friendships as adults,
Mm.
even?
We get wrong the idea that's bad when friendships end.
Hmm. Oh,
We,
wow.
as kids, we're taught and we teach as parents, make friends, make friends. We,
Yeah.
as for moms, they go out of their way to set up play dates, and we
Hmm.
put so much effort into teaching our kids how to make friends that we
Hmm.
don't teach our kids how to end friendships. And ending friendships is a
Hmm.
natural course of life because we all
Yeah.
change, and it doesn't have to have the negative feelings to it and the negative connotation when a friendship ends. So I think that's
Hmm.
one thing we get wrong as adults. We allow, and because
Yeah.
of this, we allow friendships that aren't healthy to be in our lives a
Hmm.
lot longer than they should. And it chips
Hmm.
away at our own authenticity because we're faking our way through a relationship. So
Yeah.
that's one thing I think we get wrong with when it comes to friendships, is that it's a bad thing when friendships end. It doesn't have to be a bad thing. It could just be a part of life.
Yeah, and I love that because that really relates to every kind of relationship or even like a romantic relationship. We tend to
Mhm.
stay in them way longer than we should have because of that very reason. We're afraid of what's it's going to feel like. We're afraid to be alone. We're afraid to hurt somebody. That's usually a big one, right? We don't want to make them feel bad, like we don't want to be in a relationship anymore.
Yeah.
But I guess it comes back to that reason, season, lifetime. Everybody's here for different reasons, and you don't always know why that is, right? So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Pretty
and
cool.
we need room. We need room to learn, and
To
and people to learn
to
from.
let
And
new
if we
people
hold on to
in.
these, yeah, if we hold on to these, we don't have that room that we really need
Yeah,
to grow with.
yeah. So, okay, you used to be a litigator, which is so
Mhm.
badass, by the way. Uh, but also someone who struggled with imposter syndrome. You've spoken about this. So,
Mhm.
what was your inner voice saying back then? How did you start shifting that for someone who's kind of going through the same thing?
Yeah, I wish I knew then what I know now about that. So I was 24 when I started working I was a criminal prosecutor, and I was 24 as an intern, and I
Wow.
got hired right out of law school at 25. So
Uh
in
huh.
the county, and this is the 90s, in the county that I worked in, it was a very much male dominated at that time as far as litigation went in the criminal realm. And,
Hmm.
I'm an Asian American woman, young at the
Hmm.
time, I didn't look like
Mhm.
the other attorneys. In fact, I go in the courtroom and they would think I was either the court reporter or the interpreter and not the attorney. So I was
Surprise.
getting these messages but I didn't have the confidence either. I felt like
Yeah.
I didn't belong there. What I know now
Mhm.
though is I tell people, especially younger women when I can, when you feel this feeling of imposter syndrome, know
Yeah.
that feeling it means you've leveled up. It means
Mm.
you leveled up. So when you feel like you're not supposed to be there, that angst, it
Yeah.
just means you've leveled up, and just sit back for a moment and look around and
Yeah.
just take it in and realize that you have the same qualifications as everyone else around the room, despite maybe you look different than them, but you
Yeah.
belong at that seat, and just let it sit in until it feels right. But imposter syndrome, if you think of it as that feeling as a good thing, because that means you've leveled up and moved up a bit,
Yeah.
that's a lot better mindset to go forward in.
For sure. I think that's a great way to look at it because we
Mhm.
don't. We kind of do just what you said, and we just kind of walk away with our head held low, thinking I'm never going to be that, or I'm not going to look like that, and then we just kind of let our mindset take that in instead of just really saying, like you said, realizing it's something better or
Mm.
even better than that. That's really neat. Do you miss being a litigator, or you said you love what you do now, but do you miss it at
Not at
all?
all. Not at
No.
all, not at all. At the time, especially with this imposter now I would be a better litigator. I'm
Yeah.
way more confident than I was in my 20s, and I know
Yeah.
who I am now as opposed to then, but it got to the point that I would on my drive to work, my song every day was "I Will Survive" by Gloria
Oh.
Gaynor, and that was my theme song. How
Oh my
horrible is
gosh. You
that?
just
You know?
oh.
But I was getting so many accolades because people would
Yeah,
look up to me. All I would have to say is I'm a litigator, I'm a prosecutor, I'm an attorney.
and that was
And
it.
it would just immediately, people would immediately think, oh, she's smart, she's a bad, all this stuff.
Yeah.
And so I was living this life that looked really great, but I was listening
Yeah.
to I Will Survive to live it. And
Mm.
now my wake up song is a song called It's a Good Day. And that's how I feel every day.
Oh, what a switch up. I love it. That's
Hmm.
so good. And I think that comes a lot these days with like the social media and everything. Our impression of everybody, and everybody's going through all this stuff behind the scenes, that we don't know
Hmm.
about. Just like you saying, you're walking into court, everybody thinking you're this badass, and you're listening to I Will Survive on the way.
Yeah.
That's like our world today, it feels like, with everybody, on social media. They're showing this perfect life. And then we
Hmm.
see it every day. So many people, committing suicide or doing crazy things because they can't handle it, because that's not truly who they are too, right? They're having to build
Yeah.
up to
Yeah.
it. So it's
I was living
scary.
somebody else's story. That wasn't my story to live. So it was
Yeah.
causing havoc on me on the inside.
Yeah. That's a really great revelation. So you once said that ugly becomes beautiful faster than perfection, which I love. I love that statement. So can you share a time in your life when that truth maybe really came true for you, or how you came about that statement?
Yeah. So I like, when I have an idea, I kind of just go for it at this point because it's easier to make ugly pretty than it is to make perfect better. And
Mm.
so, as you mentioned, I do a podcast, but this was a podcast I started when I started going through my divorce process. My marriage, the total length of my marriage was 27 years. And
Mm.
I thought, okay, I'm going to do this podcast because it'll be better if I am sharing my experience of this in real time than if I
Yep.
try to share it later after I was done. And
Yep.
so I came up with an idea, never podcast before. And my
Uh-huh.
first episodes, I think it sounds like I'm locked in a room in somebody's basement.
I'm
But
with
they're
you.
getting better, they're getting better. Now I'm
Yes.
working with somebody to help it. It sounds better, but
Yes.
I'm making ugly prettier.
Pretty.
So
That's a great example. I was doing the
yeah.
same thing, sitting in my closet when I first started with my headphones on and just talking. And I'm like, you got the echo going, you got the dog out there barking. You just like,
Yeah.
you just go with it until you get better and better. I love that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So during the pandemic, you created the 50-50 Friendship Flow Challenge. Okay. So what did
Mhm.
those virtual conversations teach you about connection? especially when you couldn't be together. And you kind of said you started or you did your 50 state thing during COVID then, right?
No,
Was it
no,
during
that
the
was
time? It
after
was
COVID. That
after?
was
Okay.
2023 that I traveled. So
Okay.
during, so my book 50/50 Friendship Flow came out, and I knew I wanted to challenge people to connect, and like
Yeah.
talk about making starting ugly and getting prettier. uh,
Yeah.
now I have a more structured flip the box framework, and I'm
Yeah.
actually implementing it. It's happening. But I started with this 50/50 friendship challenge from this first book. And the book came
Mhm.
about between my 49th and 50th birthday, when I
Okay.
decided I'm going to sit down with 50 women in my life and let them know what I've learned from them. And
Yeah.
these were women that either I knew a long time or recent acquaintances. And because I'm a
Mhm.
sharer, or some people might say
Mhm.
oversharer on social media, I was sharing these meetings, and people were asking me, how did you come about this? This is so
Okay.
cool. And that's how it became a book. So this challenge was to challenge other people to sit down. I think I was challenging them to sit down with three people, maybe like a family member, a long lost friend, and a neighbor, or something like that. I forgot
Yeah.
exactly what the three were, but it was
Yeah.
just trying to challenge people again to just sit down with somebody and face
Yeah.
to face and go a little bit deeper in the conversations.
Yeah. So is it just kind of getting to know each other? Is there a specific something you're trying to get out of them or feel, or it's just like just having a conversation, just
Just
an
having a
easy back and forth?
conversation, just sitting down, and you strike me as somebody that's very outgoing.
Mhm.
And what surprised me is actually because I'm like you. And what surprised me is how many people feel very uncomfortable with even asking a friend out to lunch.
Right?
And so this, and I met
It's
in my travels,
wild.
I met a woman named Betty who's 94, and she has a
Uh-huh.
ton of friends who are obviously younger than her. And the reason
Yeah.
is because she reaches out and she invites them into her home.
Mhm.
And she started doing this when
Mhm.
she was younger. And I thought, you got to start practicing now because, hopefully we all have these long lives, but how sad would it be if we have these long lives and we're lonely? And
Yes.
unless we start practicing and making it a habit to invite people to sit with us, to share coffee with us, to just
Yeah.
practice conversation, then it becomes a part of our life.
Yeah. Why do you think it is so hard for people to do that? I mean, I definitely struggle in certain things. I do a different YouTube show and they want me to do these man on the street interviews, just
Mm.
stopping people at certain, and I'm like, no, nope, nope, I'm not doing it, which is wild because I am outgoing. I love being on camera and I can talk very freely on it. But me stopping people on the street, I don't know why that terrifies me. So I wonder where that comes from. Or like you said, people just to ask somebody out for lunch. What is the fear?
I
Is it the
bet you if you did
rejection?
it,
I love it.
I think it's the rejection. What surprised me when I was doing this
Mm.
project and I was reaching out to people who absolutely didn't know me at all,
Hmm.
I thought that the objection I would get would be because I shared with them, this is going to be a book. I might get some media coverage. I thought the objection would be, "Oh, thank you, but I'm a private person, so it's
Yeah.
not for me." But not one person said that. The objection that came up more than once was, "I don't know if I'm interesting enough for you." And
Which
I
is
thought that, yeah, I had that
self
same reaction.
sabotage.
I thought it
Yeah.
was so sad that
Yeah.
a woman would think that they're not interesting enough to simply talk over, a meal with me, who is
Mm-hmm.
essentially, I don't want to call myself a nobody, but in the realm of that
Right.
statement, I am. And
Right.
so I think that's what stops us from going out and doing these things, is a fear that we're not
Not good
enough for
enough.
somebody else, or we're
Yeah.
taking up too much space or time. And that's why this challenge, and if you decide to go out on the street, it gets easier. It gets easier
It
with
does.
time.
They're gonna
And
make me eventually.
yeah, it's a numbers game too. And because I remember I talking to this man, and he said, he gets quite a few dates, and he's not a head turner. But the
Yeah.
reason why he gets dates is because he's not afraid of rejection. He goes, the more I get rejected, the easier it is. So I don't take it personally. But he got into this practice so that if somebody's interesting to him, he doesn't overthink it. He asks them
Yeah.
out. And if they
Wow.
reject him, oh well, he doesn't,
Yeah.
he's like, okay, it's okay. It's not meant to be. But he's not afraid
Yeah.
anymore. He used to be. He used to be because he isn't the I mean, he's not terrible looking, but he's not somebody that women are swooning over, and he
Right.
knows
So
that.
he
And he
expects the
knows that.
rejection.
Yeah, he knows that. But
That's funny.
he gets dates and very nice women, and it's
Yeah.
because he's gotten in the habit of just letting himself, go out there and say, "Hey, you're interesting. Would you like to go out with me?"
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And I think it's
Mhm.
also that, I think it's easier these days for younger people too to kind of make connections or not fear rejection because I think it's so much more prevalent these days. I remember with my son, he would do some acting auditions and
Mm.
man, he would do one and it was like all I could think about like the next day is like, is he going to get this? When are they going to call? And then he'd find out maybe he didn't get it. And I would be so much
Mhm.
more like bummed over
Yeah.
it. And he would just be like, on to the next one. And I'm like, wow, what a cool like way to look at things. And so I was starting to learn from him, like, hey, it's okay. I think Jack Nicholson had like 200 no's before he got his first yes or something. So yeah, I think it's a big thing. Even people just trying to ask somebody out for lunch, you got to start somewhere and you just keep going.
Yeah.
Most- You know?
Yeah. And I
Mm.
have this email that I send out. People could sign up for free where it's 52 weeks of challenges to make friends because it's hard for adults when you're not in practice. And so every week you get an email that says, this week's challenge, and it starts out easy. It could be just something like when you go out, make eye contact and smile at 5 people today,
Yeah.
or something like
Oh,
that,
I love
and
that.
then it builds on that. But
Yeah.
it takes practice.
I love that. Hold up one second. I don't know why my thing is kicking your voice in and out or
Mhm.
sending you somewhere. I don't know if can you hear me? I think you might be, yeah, it's
I can every
reconnecting
once in a
me.
while though. You cut off
It's like a
too.
gurgled. I can't figure out if it's my internet or this Riverside. Hold on. I'm just going to try to switch. If you don't mind for one second, I'm just going to switch to my hotspot real quick and see if that works better because then I'll know real quick. And then I'm just going to have you repeat what you just said about your 52
Mhm.
emails because I think it cut out. Let me see. Are you still there? You might not be there. Reconnect me.
Are you back?
Are you there? Can you hear me?
I am there. I am here. I
But
can,
you're
yes.
frozen. Okay, you're frozen. Sorry. So sorry about this. I don't know
All
what
right.
it. Oh, there you are. There you are. Okay, so I
Am I
switched
moving
to my
now? Okay.
hotspot. Yep. I
Uh,
switched to my hotspot and
okay.
maybe I just got to figure out if it's my something with the internet or Riverside. So if you'll just go back and tell like the 52 week email. Just start with that. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
If you don't. Yeah.
So I realized how hard it is for adults who are out of practice to make friends, and people ask that all the time. So I came up with
Yeah.
these 52 weeks of emails, one email a week that I send out for free to everyone who signs
Ah,
up, and they have little challenges along with some science backing behind that challenge. And
yeah.
I have people who do these challenges with their teenage daughters or their college age kids because they're simple. You could start, it starts out, I think the first one is something as simple as, go out and make eye contact today with 5 people
Mm,
and smile.
yeah.
And just,
Which is really
different
hard
things
for
like
some
that.
people. Yeah, some people find
Hmm.
that really daunting, right? Like that's really hard for them. And it's just probably those
Yeah.
little baby steps. That's neat. I really like that. It's a
Mhm.
great idea. So you wrote a piece for Time, as in Time magazine, which is incredible, about the one word that can destroy a friendship. So tell us what that word was and what do you wish more people knew about keeping their relationships healthy?
So this one, I was actually interviewed by Time Magazine for this
That's
piece,
so
and the word is
cool.
whatever. Yeah, the word
Whatever.
is
We say
whatever.
it all the time.
Like
Whatever.
whatever, whatever. And
Yeah.
it's so dismissive. It's either that word or anyways. When somebody's talking and the other person goes anyways,
Yep.
and they change the conversation.
Yeah.
But whatever. It's incredibly dismissive and
Yep.
disrespectful.
Mhm.
Unless you're saying whatever together as friends,
Yeah.
it's the word I chose when I asked what's the one
Yeah.
word that can change a friendship. And
That's
it's
pretty
funny
cool.
because I was in a relationship during this article. I was dating this guy,
Uh-huh.
and you see, I say I was because that
I
relationship didn't
was.
work, and it was heading down that pathway. And there was a point where I got upset, and I looked at him.
Uh-huh.
I said, "Whatever."
Oh,
So I actually used it on
you
purpose,
when
and
you wanted to.
the relationship ended up ending.
Yeah, because you knew the effect it would have. And that's so true
Yeah.
about it. We don't even think about it. We probably just do it so naturally, right? It's such a natural word, just like anyhow or anywho or anyway.
Mm.
And we kind of do that to change the subject, but sometimes it is totally dismissive. Somebody might not be done saying what they're about to say, or you just kind of turn and go, whatever. I think we do it all the time now that I say it.
Yeah.
I think all the
Yeah,
time.
now you'll
Maybe
notice,
more
right, when all of a
conscious. I
sudden
know.
there's
I'm even way more conscious of it now. I love that. So,
Mm,
okay, can we talk about your marriage a little bit? You went through the big life change of
mhm.
ending your marriage. And that kind of reinvention is very, very personal, right? So what helped you move through it and kind of what surprised you along the way? And you said you
Yeah,
were married for
so
27 years total, right? Like as the whole,
27
when
years
you knew him.
total, yeah.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
uh, filed for divorce. I filed for divorce at 26 years, and it took a
Mm,
year to finalize, so 27
hmm
years.
hmm
And, the relationship piece of it was surprisingly easy for me as far as
hmm
emotional detachment because it was a long time coming.
Yeah.
The harder part and the thing that kept me in my marriage, because I was a stay-at-home mom,
Yeah.
having not taken a paycheck in decades, was the
Mm,
fear, the financial fear, really. And
yep.
also, you have one pot and you split it in two. It doesn't matter how much money you have. Anybody getting
Yeah.
divorced, you're splitting that same pot of money in two. And
Yeah.
so, along with that, you could end up losing different social circles as well, and just a very change in life.
Yeah.
So I knew it was time to end the marriage when the fear of losing, I'm going to just say everything for lack of a better word,
Yeah.
the fear of losing everything outweighed the fear of losing everything was not as scary as the fear of living every day the way I was.
Oh, yeah. That's huge. That is a huge thing.
And
And
that's when I knew it was time.
mhm. Yeah, a lot of people say that they'd rather be, in different ways. I'd rather be single and unhappy than with somebody, or single and happy than with somebody and unhappy, right? So kind of the same thing. And that was probably like your wake up call, like, God, I got to get out.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I had a good marriage. I mean, people were surprised. I mean, I had a good marriage in the sense that my lifestyle was good, right?
Okay.
Even had the down to the two dogs. I mean, it's like kind of this perfect,
They're perfect.
cute family that I had going
Yeah.
on. And sometimes, though, I tell people you have a good life, and that good life can keep you from having a great life. And that's what
Mm.
was going on with me. My good life kept me from having a great life. And I got to
hmm
tell you, like you're saying, I'm so much happier now. I have so much less
Yeah.
and a lot more, financial stress than I did before because it's all on me now. But
Sure.
man, it's so much better. And this is the first time in my life that I really could have to prove, what I can do. Because when I
Yeah.
practiced law and I was taking a paycheck, I was young. I was part of we had a dual income. It wasn't such a big deal. Now in my
Yeah.
50s, doing this on my own. I'm really diving into my professional speaking career. It's a new career that I'm building as far as the speaking
Oh,
part.
yeah.
And can I do it? Can I do this on my own? Yes, I can. And this is the
Yeah.
first time that I've been given this opportunity to do it. And I think of
Yeah.
it as an opportunity. If I stayed in that marriage, I wouldn't have had an
Never
opportunity to
done
get to
it.
know me.
Yeah. I feel like I can relate to you so much sharing all of this because, we're kind of living parallel lives in that way, not only by
Mhm.
our ages and stuff, but, and I was also married for 20 years. So I know what you mean. And even you talking about like doing the speaking that you're going to start doing. So
Mhm.
that for me has been kind of a fear thing of taking that next step. I do everything that I do with my podcast and my shows, and I know relationships inside and out, but it's like taking that next step to either be a speaker on it or working with somebody or becoming a coach and having people come in. How did you even get started, like then with the speaking part? Because you said, I think that's kind of newer for you, right? What was your first
Yeah, I
step there, if
really
you don't
this
mind
past year,
sharing?
Yeah, this past year, I've really, dove into professional speaking, uh,
Yeah.
hired, coach. Well, I found out you can get paid.
Yeah, I
So I'm
know.
like, okay, that'll be my bread and butter. But, I
Yeah.
have a message now, and I did a TEDx in February, which kind of
Yeah.
kicked everything off with it.
Okay.
And I
But how did
realized
you even
I
get the
MC
TEDx?
now.
How'd you even get the
I
TEDx?
applied. Yeah, I applied for
Really?
it. They
That's
say that
amazing.
you have to apply, and for me, because I had just come off this 50 states journey and written a book, the timing was kind of
Yeah.
right. So I
Yeah.
got
You had a lot to
in
say.
right away.
Mm.
But and it's one of these things too. The universe, man, it just keeps on opening up. Every time a door
Yeah.
closes,
Another one opens.
two more beautiful doors have been opening. So I'm learning to trust. I'm
Yep.
learning to trust that things are going to be
Mhm.
okay. But I
Mhm.
found that I really loved public speaking, and
Yeah.
so I pitch now. I pitch to different places. I have a goal of pitching to 5 organizations or conferences a day.
Okay.
So I'm
A
really,
day.
I'm
Oh my
really a
god.
day, yeah. And I'm
What
starting to build a retreat for women, a 3-day retreat for women that
Yeah.
helps them, write their own story, basically, not a book, but from living their own story, because most of us we're living somebody else's story, whether it's our
Yeah.
story our parents gave us, story schooling
Mhm.
gave us, whatever it is, society,
Mhm.
we're living someone else's story. So this retreat is bringing women in to help them recognize what their story is.
Ah. And were you nervous about doing, I guess, the retreat? Because I always talk to people about, oh, we have, I have a retreat. I am speaking on
Mhm.
this. I have all these courses. Was the retreat something that you were like, I mean, for me, I think I'd probably, go, oh gosh, I don't know if I have enough information or enough knowledge
Mhm.
to have people come and do a retreat like that where I'm going to actually speak to them for days at a
Hmm.
time. Have you felt
Yeah.
that? Or yes. Yeah.
Well, no,
That's what we
so
feel.
I'm building this, and I haven't had my first one's in February,
Yeah.
and I'm building it right now. And start ugly, get good.
That's
Building it
right.
right now,
Yeah.
and I've kind of got a rough outline. It'll sort of be bespoken depending on what group,
Mm.
but there's a very rough outline of it. I also have a great mentor,
Yeah.
um, and a group of people who create retreats. So I have this group that I'm working with that's gone
Oh,
before me and
done
done
this
it and been
before.
successful in different areas. So that's
Cool.
what I've learned to do too, as I, venture into something new. Who's doing what I like and doing it well? Let me surround
Yes.
myself with these people that know more than me that I can go
Yeah.
to and have them be part of my community. So that's one thing that I've really leaned into. And so that's why I
Mm.
feel very confident about this retreat in February.
Yeah.
It's in its skeleton phase right now, but because
Mhm.
of this group of mentors and advisors that I know aren't going to let me fail at this.
How neat is that? And are you finding that
Hmm.
money, you have to spend money to make money and invest in yourself,
Bleeding
right?
money.
And I know, that's a
It's
big thing.
painful.
That's tough.
It
It's
is,
the
and
part.
I'm moving.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
I'm moving from Seattle, where I grew up, where I've lived here all my life except for 2 college years. I lived elsewhere, and only
Yeah.
Portland, Oregon, so it wasn't like that far away. Uh,
Right.
and so now I'm moving to Dallas, Texas, and I don't
Yes.
have an
My
anchor there.
hometown.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have no
It's
anchor there, so it's starting all over there.
oh my
Um,
gosh.
but yeah, so the move itself, I'm like, my goodness, it's really expensive to move,
It's very
you know?
expensive to move from different states for sure.
Hmm.
Yeah, I did it
I've
coming
never
to
done that
California,
before.
so
And I'm like, oh.
it's a lot, but it's exciting though too, right? Like a whole new city for you to be in. We talked about like we're single, so finding new men or is exciting.
Yes.
That's exciting.
Well,
Um,
and Seattle area, it's pretty small, especially for dating, as far as dating the
yeah.
types of men that I want to date. And with
Hmm.
my single girlfriends, the problem with being here and having been here for so long, you don't want you kind of dating the same people. I mean, it's the same
Oh,
group
yeah.
of men that, we all know each other's ex-wives and, oh, she dated him. I don't want to step on her toes. I don't want, it's so
Yep.
nice to go to a city where it's like, okay,
You don't know
I know
anybody.
no ex-wives. I know no
Yes.
ex-girlfriend. I'm not going to
I
step on
hear you.
anybody's toes. And so, in that aspect of relationships and dating, that's
Yeah.
refreshing.
Oh, I love that. I'm excited for you because I know what that feels like. I'm ready for a new crop of men too. So, well, for anyone listening who feels stuck or kind of unsure of what's next, what's one simple question that they can ask themselves today to kind of get in touch with their truth? What would you say?
Well, first of all, my favorite quote, which comes in the form of a question, is if today were the last day of my life, would I be doing what I'm
Mm,
doing now?
mm,
And if it is, that's awesome and do more of that.
yeah.
If it's
Yeah.
not, what do you want to do? And what's the easiest step you can take?
Oh,
Not
yeah.
what the end step, what's the easiest first step you can take? That would
Mm.
be the question I would suggest.
That's huge. That's huge, Sherry, because we do look at we go directly to the biggest portion of it, the end zone of like where we see
Mhm.
ourselves, which is great for manifesting, putting that out there. But that can sometimes scare us right back into our little hole because we're like, oh my God, it's so overwhelming to get there. So it's just one step at a time. That's what I've been learning.
Yeah,
Right.
and you mentioned
Yeah.
manifesting. I think also, because our brains don't necessarily know the difference between what's real and what's vividly
Mhm.
imagined.
Yeah.
And for instance, my move to Dallas, I've already changed on most of my social media platforms that I live in Dallas, Texas.
Oh, okay.
And it's not to
Putting it out
fool
there.
people, but it's not to fool people, but it's because I want to embody where I am going to be. And I
Mm.
want to emotionally and mentally be there already and start to and create my life there. So my life is
Mhm.
already being created and unfolding mentally and
Mm.
emotionally and physically. I will join it when I
Yeah.
actually move.
When you,
So I think
yeah.
that's part of it too. If what you're doing now is not what you want to do, if today were the last day of your life, and you figure out what you want to do, see yourself doing that. See yourself in
Yes.
that place. And
Yep.
and I was at an event and a woman said, uh, well, she's like, I hate, I kind of am a photographer. Well, I take all these, but I feel kind of funny saying I'm like, you say I am a
Am a
photographer.
photographer.
Start, without
Yep.
explanation.
Yep.
And that's why, I am starting in this professional speaking. I've had maybe what, 4 gigs, and three of the 4 were pretty small, but I
Got to
immediately said,
start somewhere.
even before my first one, I said, when people said, what do you do? I said, I'm a professional speaker.
Mm, I love it. That's so
Mhm.
good. Put it out there. The universe should follow, right? So tell
Mhm.
everybody where they can find you. Tell them where to find your books. Then go over the names of them again if you want to. Tell us all the good stuff.
Sure. Well, the easiest place, and the books and everything are on this website or Amazon, is my website name, fairly long. It's an imperfectlyperfectlife.com
Okay.
and imperfectlyperfectlife.com, or they could just Google my name, Sherri Leigh, SHARILEID, and there's so many ways to contact
Find it
me.
all.
Yeah.
What's your Instagram handle? Do you have or TikTok?
It's
Either of those?
yeah, Instagram is Anne underscore imperfectly underscore life. Perfectly perfect life, something like that. But they could find
We'll
me.
put it in
Oh,
the show
but the way
notes.
if they want to follow my move from Seattle to Texas and see how I create friendships and find community and
Fun.
go into this speaking career and create the retreat and see if it works out or not, they could
Yeah.
follow me on YouTube. And the YouTube channel is just YouTube/Sherri Leigh. And we actually just started filming last week.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Well, I'll make sure to have all of that in the show notes. Where's the retreat at? Where's it going to be?
It'll be in the Dallas area. I'll rent to like a VRBO. People won't stay there, but that's where we will have
Nice.
spend our days creating our
Love it.
story.
I love it. I love it. So before you go, I like to do a little quick fire round just to kind of get to know Sherri Leigh a little bit more. Just some fun, fast questions. Are you ready?
I'm
Here we go.
ready.
Ready, ready. Number one, if someone played you in a rom-com, who would it be?
Angelina Jolie.
Hell yeah. What's your go-to karaoke song?
Oh, tequila, because I can't carry a tune.
Oh, and I saw that on the Today Show. You learned to sing happy birthday. Your first celebrity crush or your current celebrity crush could be.
Ooh, who was my first celebrity crush? Maybe John Stamos?
Oh, good one. Good one. Do you have one now?
Now my celebrity crush. Good question. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. I
Brad
think
Pitt
Brad Pitt.
came into my head, but I don't know why.
Yeah, well, I know why. I think he just sticks with I think he just sticks with everybody. He's been my favorite. What one thing people would be shocked to learn about you? Just one thing.
Oh, that I've broken 14 bones in my lifetime.
Oh my goodness. See how
That was a good
shocked I
shock
was?
sound.
That was a good shock. I was shocked. Okay. If you could have dinner with your 16-year-old self, what would you order first and what would you warn her about?
I would order spaghetti and meatballs, and
Mm.
I would warn her about codependency, and tell her what that means.
Yeah, that's a
Warn her
good one.
about that she didn't have to try to make everything okay all the time.
Everything on. Oh, I love that. Okay, biggest guilty pleasure, reality TV. Do you have a guilty pleasure with reality TV?
I used to. It used to be like The Bachelor, and then The Golden Bachelor was kind of a
I
guilty
know.
pleasure of mine. And now there's a Later Daters that shows where I'm
Oh,
looking right now. But
girl, I know. I
uh,
watched it. That's so
yeah,
funny. They had sent me an application. I filled that out. I filled it out for later
did
daters. You never know.
you? Oh
Yes,
man,
they
I
sent
gotta
it
tell
to
you,
me.
if the Golden Bachelor, if the gold,
Mm-hmm.
I'm 55 right now. If the Golden Bachelor wanted women that now I think it's age 60 is and older.
Yeah, it is.
If I was that age, I'd apply. Would have applied yesterday.
See, but the funny thing about that is the guy that's going to be in it now, that Mel Owens, who's I think former NFL, he's come forward saying
Yeah.
that he wants women between 45 and 60. He's 67, I think. And a lot
Oh,
of them are like, I wouldn't date that. And I don't know. I mean, I'm 50, so I'd have to think about that. Would I date a 67-year-old? But he looks pretty good. So I don't know.
he
People are giving him
does. He
crap.
does.
Yeah.
He does.
Yeah. But there's no good show for middle-aged, right? There's only like the golden and then the shorter one. So the later daters is pretty much where
Yeah.
it's at.
We need to
Yeah.
start our own show.
We do. I would love that.
Mhm.
We do. I should send you the application for later daters too. They'd love you for that. That'd be
Yeah.
great. Okay. Almost done. What's a word you absolutely overuse? Whatever.
Dope.
Dope.
I use dope.
So dope.
That's dope. My favorite
Funny.
word.
Okay, you've got 5 minutes to pack for a mystery trip. What's the top 2 things that go in the bag?
5 minutes. Leggings and a sweatshirt.
Oh, you're gonna be warm out
You said
there.
top 2, right?
Yep, you did good. That's it. And then
Yeah.
last question:
What's
what's your superpower and what's your kryptonite?
my superpower is connecting people. I'm a good connector. That's my
Yeah,
superpower. What's my
so good.
kryptonite thing that
Just makes you crumble, I guess, or you're almost afraid of the power of it.
well, that's a good question, because the thing I'm thinking of is things like I can't swim. Water's my
Yeah,
kryptonite.
that's your
Uh,
kryptonite.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Like I can't swim, but my kryptonite maybe budgeting. I'm trying
Yeah.
to get
Oh,
better at budgeting. I don't know if that considered
it's
a
not
kryptonite,
easy.
but
I
being
think
on
it's
my
all
own and trying to
kryptonite.
figuring out my finances with my business and my personal life. It's the first time I'm ever
Yeah.
doing this, and I'm in my 50s
Oh,
myself. So
yeah.
that's been one of my biggest struggles, I guess, is
Yeah. It's a
figuring that
challenge for
out.
sure. Yeah. Well,
It is,
sounds
and
like you're
figuring out
doing amazing.
what to spend money on, especially investing in a new career, and deciding,
Yes.
okay, it's not the shoes that are important, it's getting this career off. So,
Career off the ground. And what does that?
mhm.
Yeah. I've struggled with that as well. Like, how much do you invest into it when you don't have the money to invest into it?
Mhm.
And you're just going in hoping and praying that it's gonna, you know, quadruple. It's gonna just turn into a lot more money. So tenfold, right?
Yeah.
I feel your pain. I feel your pain. And if I'm in, when I come back to Dallas to visit a lot, so I'll make sure to reach out to you next time I'm coming
That would
back.
be
And we
so
should
great.
definitely meet.
I would
I know.
absolutely love to hang out with you in Dallas. Let's make
Wouldn't that
sure we
be
do that.
awesome? It's such an easy
That would be
trip from
awesome.
California, so I love making new friends. So look at our connection, people, just like that. That's how it's done.
Mhm.
That's how it's done.
It
Well,
is,
it's been
yes.
wonderful having you, Sherri. Thank you so much for joining me today. I mean, it's just been such a treat to have you. I love what you're doing with Flip the Box. I love the connection. I think we need more of that. So
Mhm.
amazing. And I can't wait to hear how Dallas is. I think you're going to love it. I think you're going to love it. Probably a lot
Yeah,
sunnier
I
than
know.
Seattle. So we'll
It
see.
is, it is.
It is. It is. And to you guys listening out there, thank you so much for joining me this week. I hope you enjoyed hearing everything that Sherri had to say. You guys can find me on any major streaming platform, and you can find me on Instagram or TikTok at from.mrs.2.ms. If you have any questions, email me at Andrea at from Mrs. 2 Ms.com. We'll see you guys next week. Have a good one. Bye.